right, welcome everyone to our Tuesday night chat. This is very exciting. This is the last Tuesday of the year that we have a special guest speaker. And we are so blessed to have Pepe from 560 Farms joining us tonight. Welcome, Pepe.
Hey, thank you, Kelly. It's lovely to be here.
We're so excited to learn about microgreens and everything that you do. But before we do that, just want to give some final announcements of the year. And if this is the first time that you're tuning in, that you're learning about our channel, you can go back and have a look at all our amazing guest speakers and recordings throughout 2022 and even 2021 by going back on YouTube to Kelly Wilkins, that's Kelly with an I, dash My Self-Reliance, and you'll find all of our recordings there. We've had so many great topics over the past year and so many great learnings that are still relevant. So go back and have a look at those. You also want to join us next Tuesday as we wrap up the year. We'll have a lovely look back at the year, and I like to do a end of year look back to be able to complete the year, and that's going to allow us to really feel like we have no regrets. Being able to finish off the year in a powerful and positive way, and then bring in 2023 together with a great right vision and action steps to get started you powerfully into the next year. So do join us for that. We anyone living in the Sydney area, we are going on a family camp. I've booked the dates for the 3rd of January right through to the 10th of January. You can join us for all or part of those dates. But on the Friday and Saturday of that week, we are going to run some great events. We are going to have a Self-Reliance Expo on the 4th of March in 2023. So stay tuned for that. And again, we will have another big summit in July as well. So now we are so fortunate to hear from Pepe. Pepe has been a chef, and so we're blessed to hear your story, Pepe. I'm going to turn the time over to you, and love to hear about what happened to you before the floods, during the floods, after the floods, and how the microgreens can really make a benefit in our lives. So
Absolutely. Well, I'll start at the beginning. My name's Pepe, and thank you, Kelly, for such a wonderful welcome. I'm blushing. Yeah, so my journey starts, I guess, from childhood. I grew up in Byron Bay, very well-known area of the Northern Rivers, in a Greek restaurant. My parents had it for 21 years, and instead of getting a babysitter, they'd sit me in the corner of the restaurant, and I'd just watch and learn everything. So, by 5 years old, I'm making coffees, and by 10, I'm on the grill, and by 18, I was a chef. So that kind of really gave me a passion for food and good quality food. So this led on and on, and I guess I hit my 20s, and I grew up in Byron Bay. It's a very alternative town, so I was interested in music. I steered away from cooking for a little while and jumped behind a drum kit, and we were writing punk music and having a good time. But I got to 30 and I started having some kids. We've got 8 children, which I'll elaborate on a bit more later, and had to get sorted. So I went back into cooking. I had a mobile catering business. It was Greek food. I'd turn up at your place and put on a great party. We'd smash the plates or smash the glasses and all those, dance on the tables, all those cool things. And I'd source locally the best produce I could. So it really gave us a point of difference with what we're serving. And and the feedback was great. But this was the beginning of my journey into farming, because there came a point later on where it was hard to get what I wanted. So anyway, leading up to that, I finished the catering business, moved to Lismore with my wife, and we bought 25 acres. And at the time, a bit of a jump in career, but I was running a chicken farm for Ingham's. I was growing meat chickens. So we were turning over 500,000 chickens in 54 days. It was RSPCA approved, but it was the bare minimum of my consciousness. There's a sort of a dark area around chicken farms, but this was okay. I mean, we looked after the chickens. There was no hormones and things, but still I was on this journey to find real pure food and healthy food. But so I steered away from that. And what happened is my back failed. My whole lower spine collapsed, and I needed to go in for spine surgery. And oh, wow. So what happened, I had to leave the chicken job, and I had $6,000 to my name after the surgery fees, but they basically did 3 levels of my bottom lumbar spine. So I'm pretty much steel. I say I'm steel from belly button to bottom, and my health was suffering, and I just worked too hard and did things wrong and neglected my health a lot. And so what happened, I couldn't work, and I had $6,000 to my name. And my wife, of all people, she found a video on YouTube by Curtis Stone, which I can relate to you later, about learning how to grow, if you're interested in this. But yeah, he was doing microgreens, and there was a real buzz around it back then, because it was mostly used as a garnish, but the health benefits weren't really understood. They were starting to come out, like lots of science was coming out, but it wasn't being released in the media, or no one really knew. They just considered it a garnish, what microgreens are, and I'll explain what microgreens are shortly. But so I knew what they were. I knew what the benefits they had, both visually and nutritionally. So I gave it a go. I mean, there was it's a niche product in our area, and there was room at the markets, like at the farmers markets, to get in and sell some. But also I had restaurants that were like, knew who I was, and I could speak the language of the chefs, so I knew how to approach them and sell them and flavor profile to the dishes that they were serving. So it kind of went from there. And it's such a journey. I mean, this business that we have now, I mean, since the flood, has a small amount of debt, but for the 5 years leading up to the flood was completely debt-free, built on just slow reinvestment and passion, and a real want to do it. And what follows was just unbelievable, So it was so that's leading up to the flood. I mean, if Kelly can show some pictures later while I'm talking, it'll show you we had a different greenhouse. We had a different setup. We were upcycling all the sheds on our farm that were run down. We weren't really buying all the fancy greenhouses and that at the time, because it wasn't affordable. But we got by, but it really gave it some character, man. And then it led me onto organics, which really interested me because of, I'm a health conscious guy now, and due to that surgery, I had to really boost my health and start looking after myself and eating good food. And, prevention's the cure. I wish I knew this and told myself in my teens, but, we all learn the hard way sometimes. But it's never too late. It's really never too late to start investing in your health. So all our farm was very retro. It was very upcycled and wood, and it was just beautiful. And it was going so well that it's ironic. At the time the flood came, which I'll talk about shortly, we were at the fact we needed to expand, and we weren't sure which direction to take it. But yeah, so came the flood. February 28th of this year, we were all warned of a flood, and we own a property that floods. We knew that, but it's actually, we're a little bit higher than Lismore town, so we're about 5 minutes out of town. If you know the area, we're on the way to Casino, but literally just out of town, and we're next to the river. Some people thought I was mad buying there, but listen, I've been through 2 floods before this one, and it's actually, I call it romantic. It's, the water's still. It generally comes up after the event, which, you got time, and you bring everything upstairs, and the house is built for it, and all the sheds are tough, and, the water comes in, but it's quite still. And it goes down by the next day, and you quickly clean up, and you might be wading through water that's about waist deep, but big deal. It doesn't do any damage. It actually brings in some very nutrient dense soil. I mean, we call it silt, but it's a great additive to our garden beds and market gardens. So but February 28th, that was something else. 3 o'clock in the morning, my wife woke me up, and she said, look, this isn't normal. We had reached the heights that we were told that were going to happen, and it was still pouring rain. I mean, ridiculous. And we were looking at the radar, and it was still looking like an event that was going to go for another 2 days, So we started to get nervous. We've got 8 kids, so they all starting to panic. But it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you get up and you're like, oh, what do I do? Nobody here was prepared for this. And look, by 7 o'clock in the morning, it was in our house upstairs. We look out the veranda. It's totally engulfed my wife's business, which is on the farm. She has a hair salon. It's totally it's gone through my greenhouses, but it wasn't this still romantic water that I spoke of earlier. It was like a tsunami. This was moving, and it had force behind it, and it just kept growing. And so by lunchtime, it's just below shoulder height through the second floor of our house, peaking at 14 meters and still rising. So yeah, look, it brings up a bit of emotion, but we didn't know what to do. We had our 8 kids floating around on a mattress in our home, taking turns to go outside and get on the roof, which we were able to. We were lucky. A lot couldn't, but we're trying to wave down helicopters, and they're sort of checking on us, but just making sure we're alive, but weren't really responding to rescuing us. So the concentration of rescues were in town, which I understand. The population was huge, but there's a lot of families out there, a lot of hidden homes and things, and poor Korokai. Anyway, that's a whole nother story, but it was scary. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was ripping through our house. We knew we'd lost everything. All my greenhouses had washed away. I could see them in the paddocks. My wife's salon was underwater. We're just wading through the water, taking turns getting on the roof, because the rain was so cold. It was like ice, but it was warmer in the water. But the health risks to stand in the water, apparently diesel and oil and everything's just going through this water, but we didn't know what to do. We have a 2-year-old at the time, and she didn't want to sit on the roof in the rain, but there were no boats coming, and nothing came. And now it's 3 o'clock, and I'm starting to get nervous. The choppers are still waving, you're still alive, but they weren't stopping. And look, and then I guess a miracle happened. One boat turned up, and it was quite large. It pretty much leveled up with our roof on the second story and took my wife and kids. We couldn't all fit in, so I stayed behind with my 2 oldest teenage boys, and just because we couldn't get in the boat. So the boat disappears. I had no idea where they were going to go, but I was feeling relieved that that's the majority of our family that's just been saved. And then hours later, a small tinny turns up and rescues myself and my two boys. But as I said, we're out of town. We're going against the current of water that was unbelievable, rapids, like force water, tsunami. It just was pushing. And this little boat we were in just couldn't get anywhere. So we managed to take the current across to a village in Lismore called Manaltree. And another miracle, like this is just, it's tearjerker stuff. We landed on the same hill that my wife and six other kids landed on, and we were together again. Like we had no idea where either of the family was, and we were there. And so we lived in a shed on this guy's property with one bed, and on the floor for 5 days on one meal a day. And we're grateful to be alive. But that was the flood. I mean, wow. And it took us 5 days till we could get back in, but it destroyed everything. We got back, and there's a friend came out with a drone and took some footage. There's a video on my Instagram if anyone's interested to see the damage that happens rurally. But it was a really good videographer. He took a good aerial view of it. But we lost everything. All we had was the backpack, and that's it. We're back to square one. Yeah. So what happened? Yeah, you go through all those emotions, and you don't know. I mean, you just lost. I'm really remembering now, talking about it. It's been 9-10 months, but
it's a really harrowing time, and it to hear you share that story, Pepe. It really has us all be there with you at that time, and we all talk about, what would you do? As you say, no one knew what to do.
no.
Nothing has ever been, happened like that before. And when with you, I grew up in Lismore, and we would see the floods, and you knew how to handle them.
Yeah.
But at the time when you were going through it, did you have a concept of where this was coming from? Did you even think about that? What was going through your mind when you were dealing with all of that?
During the event or after?
Yeah. What do you present during those 5 days?
I went through. Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I wasn't born yesterday. I mean, I grew up in Byron Bay. I used to surf. I checked the weather daily, and I knew weather patterns, and there was an agenda at hand with this. And I don't know if we want to open that can of worms, but anyone who's awake and has any idea knows exactly what happened here, and the response, and the mobile towers like having no reception, like because they forgot to fuel up the generators and this and that. I've got some awake friends, and they were actually the ones refueling the generator at the hospital because it went down. And people are, and yeah, look, if that's the kind of question you meant, Kelly, that's I was angry. I was so just, but then you're dealing with the fact you've just lost everything. What do you do? I mean, and we still owe, I'll be honest here, I've got nothing to hide, but 400,000 on our property. I mean, we have a mortgage, and we've got nowhere to go. Who's going to want to buy a house that's deemed critically dangerous if these events are to continue? I mean, yeah, so much goes through your mind, but that's where some of the magic happened. I mean, I've always been very driven. I don't give up easily. I love what I do. So that's where I guess a universal, our God, just said, all right, I know you want that, so here. I mean, this is the only way I can explain it, but it's miracles. I guess I met people like Nick and Adam Nicholas, and Dave O'Neiggs was around town, sort of sending people our way. But I never met Dave myself. But it's like they didn't let me give up, and also the support of our community, because we had such a business that was unique, and we were starting to grow, and we had a couple of employees, and we just were part of the community that they felt that and wanted to see us rebuild. So I'm sort of getting ahead of myself, but yeah, if that makes sense, Kelly, it's such
Mm, yeah. So tell us what was next. What I don't know if you decided to rebuild right away, but having those people there who wouldn't let you give up, that's huge. So what happened next?
okay. Next, it didn't stop raining for about 2 months. So it gave us time to really reflect and say, okay, are we going to do this and the hows? And the people came, and it's like they wouldn't let us give up. So we planned, okay, it's like, all right, that's it. We've got nowhere else to go. We've got 8 kids, we've got a mortgage, we're going to do it for them. I mean, that, lo and behold, doesn't happen like that again. Sorry, Kelly, it gets a bit emotional, but okay, they turned up. I have a lot of friends, I mean, in the farming industry. So a lot of people that I knew, I didn't know what they actually did, but a couple of them owned a greenhouse company, and a couple of them had excavators and this and that. And together, they all just went, hey, man, like, I'll do this for you. And hey, you need greenhouses. I know I've sold that, but I'm going to put that client on hold, quickly get them something else so you can have these ones, and rah. And everything was just going click, click, click. But that 2 months with the rain carried on and on, gave us time to plan. We initially, had to fix our home up. Donations came in. The resource centres were amazing. A shout out to Courier Mail, especially. They still deliver food to this day, which is such a blessing, those guys. May they never lose their funding. Anyway, they just turned up, and they kind of got in my head, and we talked about it. We got a plan, and here we are. I mean, geez, there was particular people that stood out. I mean, they were coordinating and speaking for me, because I could hardly speak sometimes. I didn't know what to say, but I knew what I wanted. And people like Adam Nicholas, I'll say his name. Does anyone here know Adam by chance? Do you, Kelly?
Not Adam Nicholas.
He's referred to as just an Aussie battler. And there's Danny from Mini Freedom Fighters. They're just a group of people like us, and just really riled up the army, and got it all happening. But okay, the vision from there was, okay, this is happening. We've had some donations from Aussie Helping Hands. They donated a lot of our bedding, $5,000, which was amazing. Oh wow, that and then lots of small donations came in. So financially, we had a small savings account, so we could use that to buy some things up front. But all the companies we used all gave us a 50% off discount, or they donated on a 12-month payment terms and things like that. So it's like you had to want it to get it. Some sort of esoteric thing. I'm a pretty spiritual guy, but if you know what I'm saying. So we rebuilt, and we've come back stronger. I think I've jumped get me on track, Kelly.
Well, and so you can bring us up to date. So how does it look now, and how is it different now than it was before? When you say you've built back stronger, what's changed, and has your mindset changed?
Yeah.
All that, tell us.
My mindset's better. I mean, there are moments of, you look at everything that's been done and you're so grateful, and then you think, oh, this could all get whipped away again. But look, we can't live in fear. We can't live worried about what they're going to do next or what's going to happen next. And this is where I think in numbers, if we all had that mentality, they've really got that. There's no power behind fear. So we've built back better, and we've become certified organic, and we've had the farm that I said earlier I needed to expand before the flood. I've finally got this farm that I needed. So it was kind of a silver lining in the horrible event. So it's given me the opportunity to become who I'm meant to be in this industry. And in this time, it's very vital, and I'll start to cover this soon, like microgreens in general, and with food shortages potentially on the horizon, and self-reliance is more important than ever. So, I'm here to give back. I always have been. If anyone searches my name, Pepe Fassos, on YouTube, I mean, later you can go back and watch the whole story of 6 years. There's about 85 videos of me either just blogging around the farm or showing you how to do it or things like that. But, it really, yeah, wow.
It's really hard to live through again, isn't it?
Yeah,
What about if I'll share the screen. We're going to have a look at your pictures of your farm now.
Thank you.
So here we are. This is your Instagram page.
Yeah.
And they're just absolutely gorgeous photos. So let's have a look. And you can tell me when to stop.
It goes on. You can, if you're down a little bit further, you can see this is the photos on the screen now are new from the new greenhouse. Little further down, you'll see, the progression of it being built. Like, here we go. The frames are going up, and and then that aerial shot there is from the flood. Like, that was a snippet. That's actually the video I was saying anyone can go and have a look at.
Yeah.
See the damage. But that video that picture in the middle is me the day I got back and showed everyone that I'd just lost everything. And the flowers before that were my last photo from the old farm. But if you can see the bottom middle picture, all the sheds were upcycled. They were beautiful. I mean, they were hardwood and just really unique and beautiful. But me smiling with the chef there, that was inside another shed that used to grow pigs, but and I turned it into a microgreens, a big vegan shed. So.
Wow, beautiful. Yeah, beautiful sheds you can see in those photos.
Yeah.
Lovely. And so now tell us more about the microgreens. What do we need to know about growing microgreens and eating microgreens?
Okay, a microgreen, let me start at the beginning, is the first set of leaves called the cotyledon leaves, right? So a seedling, you plant your seed in some good compost, it'll shoot or sprout, and the first set of leaves, and then maybe the next leaf, which is called the true leaf, is a microgreen. Now, that microgreen in that form, at that size, is at its most nutrient dense you can get that plant. So if, for example, if I plant one broccoli seed, it sprouts grows and forms a broccoli head, that's full term. But you need to understand that flower is the end product of that plant. Yes, that's what we eat, but it's actually at its least nutrient dense. Now that's going to shock you, but a microgreen is when it's taken all the energy from that seed, it's got all the proteins and fats, the DNA, all the good, just good energy from that plant is then at its most nutrient dense. Now here's a fun example just to get you thinking. That 50 grams, like, which is a small handful of microgreens, like literally it'd fit in the palm of my hand, small, like a mouthful, is equivalent, grown organically, is equivalent to eating 6 heads of broccoli. So if that makes sense, your microgreens are more than just a garnish. There's my nude gardening day shot. Just sorry, that made me laugh. I can see it.
That's great.
So, yeah, so microgreens are an essential part, I believe, in a daily diet, because my motto is now prevention's the cure, right? So in this day and age where, you know, there's lots of stress, there's the good old doctor's problems, and it's now more important than ever that we are growing our own food as organically as possible, because there's enough chemicals around, there's enough chemicals being in our sky and our water and our food that we buy from the supermarket, that the advantage with, say, microgreens is that they can be grown in a small space. You do not need a big garden, but you're meeting your daily requirements 40-fold in the case of broccoli, for example. Now, if that makes a lot of sense, it's like I'd love to share with you a few things. If anyone's interested, has anyone here grown a microgreen before? I heard you say, Cheryl, before that you have a kit, but you haven't used it. It's very simple, right? So you want to be using soil. There's a lot of, I mean, I'm a soil fan. We're an ACO certified organic farm now, so we had to go through all those processes, and we have market gardens, we do vegetables and things, but let's focus on the microgreens. Now you want to grow them in a soil, like they may come in a kit, or it'll come in a cocoa peat or something, but you want to add in some compost, and that's where your nutrient is. And the soil is life, you know. It's the catalyst to giving the plant energy. It's not the plant, and the plant has a particular amount, but it's taking from the soil. So that's what a lot of people don't get with organics, is that, you know, we have to use soil, and we have to use this because, you know, it's not just about not using pesticides or herbicides. It's about soil and the most nutrient dense way you can eat. So they're very easy to grow. I mean, there's so much information online now. I mean, you can go to my videos, for example, or you can search a guy called Curtis Stone, who taught me. He's in Canada. And, you know, there's 3 varieties that I suggest you grow first that are simple. They're not going to, you know, they're going to work for you. Now, pea shoots, remember this is a pea seed. So you're just growing a snow pea seed, but you know, I won't go too much into the finer details, but look it up. I mean, you're planting in a small tray and you're filling it up with seed, and you're going to put a little bit of soil on top. But for example, a pea shoot is really simple to grow. And how's this for a statistic? A pea shoot has 9 times more vitamin C than an orange. Like, seriously, everyone thinks that citrus is the answer to vitamin C, which this is a fact. A pea shoot has 9 times more vitamin C than an orange, so, or a lemon, or anything like that. So in these times, vitamin C, it's imperative. It's such a powerful antioxidant. So there we go. There's pea shoots. top right corner of the shared screen. Yeah, just there. They're pea shoots. It's very simple, delicious. They're tender. You can put them through a stir fry, or you can eat them raw or put them in a smoothie. Cheap seed, the seed's cheap. Now the next one is sunflower sprouts. We can't keep up with them. Now, yes, sunflower. Imagine a big yellow flower and you're eating the first shoot. Like I said earlier, the first leaves. Now, in the middle of the screen there, what, Kelly, just go back down. There's a red pot, but you'll see one sunflower shoot there that's coming up out of it. That was just a freak, but that's what they look like. Now, sunflower shoots, for example, 50 grams of sunflower shoots, which is not much at all, offers 3 grams of plant protein. Now, this is essential. Say food shortages or meat prices go really high, and you still need proteins. And this is the highlight of a sunflower shoot or sprout or microgreen. There's the plant proteins. It's very high in vitamin E, vitamin D, and which are all essential to, get some sun, but vitamin D is also bioavailable through eating. Now, lastly, radish. These 3 that I'm talking about are very, very simple to grow. I'm not making that up. I have 42 varieties on this farm. Yes, some are a little harder, but once you start growing and see results, you'll slowly venture into growing other varieties. So the radish is typically radish. I mean, it's slightly spicy, but it's high in essential amino acids, particularly vitamin C, and it's up there with broccoli, which I'm going to talk about shortly, in sulforaphane or NAC. So radish, I'll stop talking so much about radish, but so just recovering again, pea shoots, sunflower, radish, do them first. This way you will get a result. Just on the left, the top screen there is a radish, the purple radish on the top left. That's what they look like. Delicious. I mean, they're going to add a bit of spice to your salad, or you can eat them on their own, and you've covered so many daily requirements. It's not funny. And you don't have to sit there and eat a big bowl of salad. So, okay, if you're game enough to grow those 3 and you want to do one more, broccoli. Now, broccoli, where do I start? I mean, it's starting to hit the media now, where the scientific facts are coming out about how powerful this microgreen is. It is the most powerful of them all. It's easy to grow, but I put it in the sort of intermediate, not beginner, but sort of intermediate growers class, because there can be issues with season. Say if you have a hot environment, it doesn't grow as well as cooler environments. So, that's why I put it in intermediate. But broccoli, okay, Kelly, broccoli is high in SFN-NAC, which is sulforaphane and acetylcysteine, right? I hope I said that properly, but I know what it means. It is an antioxidant proven to prevent disease and hop in your cell and pull out heavy metals. Now, it's primarily, everyone talks about a broccoli sprout, and you can buy them, and they're grown in water, and they're like alfalfa, but you need broccoli microgreen. Now, that's, even eating a sprout like alfalfa, people think they're so amazing. No, they haven't seen sunlight. They haven't taken up any nutrient from soil. They've just grown in water. You're only getting the energy of that seed, but microgreen form, you're absorbing nutrient from the soil, the sunlight, the good water. We use good water, and the nutrients in the water, which is another topic in itself. But yeah, it's got to be done this way. I'm all about microgreen. Yeah, so broccoli in these times is so essential to our diets. There we go. Nice one, Kelly. You found it. It's so cheap, the seed. If you ever go to a website, you just go for sprouting broccoli seed. You don't need to buy a particular variety. So you're looking about up to $70 a kilo. I mean, if you go to Bunnings here in Australia and you buy a little packet of seeds, $5, you wouldn't even have enough seed in that packet to grow a tray. So you go to the websites, look further than just your little gardening shops. And anyone here that, or anyone that watches this in the future, can contact me through Instagram or through my website if they need help with this. It's not an issue. I love helping people with this. So yeah, I'm getting a bit passionate and off track, but anything you want to know more about the microgreens, Kelly? Or
Yeah, so I love what you're sharing. It's fabulous. So let's then talk about so these four that what I think we should do is have you on one of the nights, and we'll just do, you can take us through how to get started in growing them. And so do you sell the actual seeds, or do you sell the version that you eat?
I just sell the ready product. Yeah. There's a lot of good seed companies out there that can supply, and it's just another faction of the business that becomes selling seed. You need a different license, so it's been a bit conflict of interest. But no, we just sell the ready to eat product. Seeds, you just type in microgreen, or preferably organic microgreen seeds, into Google, and off you go. And as I said earlier, I'm happy to direct you to companies I use. If it's not organic, please search for untreated seed. Do not buy treated seed for growing microgreens. They've been dipped in products, fungicides called theorem or others, and they're actually toxic. So, don't do that.
I can put a link to a guy that we use locally in Riverston, for anyone that's in the Sydney area, or he does ship out. So yeah, we have a great contact for that. So that's fabulous. And then tell us how do you eat them? Do you have a favorite dressing? Do you put them, just in a salad or on burgers, or let's give us some tips on how to eat them.
Okay. So for 10 years ago, they used to sit on top of your dish, and, you'd wonder what they were and push them to the side. But now, there you go. Like that sandwich in the middle of the picture. I mean, that's one way to do it. I mean, you're going to look like a professional if you're having a catering event or some friends over for dinner. But that's one way. A salad as a side. Say you have your proteins, and then you've got just 50 grams of microgreens. Seriously, guys, that's all you need as a minimum daily intake. I mean, that'll sit on the side with a bit of lemon juice and olive oil and sea salt. That's all I do. Now, that's if you want to eat them cold. Now, broccoli, sunflower, pea shoots, and radish, I get a lot of customers putting them in smoothies. They do their green smoothie. The sunflower shoots especially, I get a lot of, say, gym junkies, bodybuilders, and they're looking for natural proteins, and they buy 300 grams off me and come back to me twice a week. So smoothies, a big handful of them. Also, sunflower shoots, they're like a bean shoot, in an Asian bean shoot. So you can put them through hot food at the end. So imagine you've cooked a stir fry, turn off the heat, put the sunflower microgreens in, or any microgreens for whatnot, and stir it through, then serve. Do not cook it in, because they'll melt. And they're also very absorbent of flavor. So they'll take on the sauce you've made, plus they'll add their own flavor profiles as well. I mean, we grow so many different types of herb microgreens as well, all very nutrient dense, but the flavor profile in them is huge. I mean, they're so potent. I mean, for a stir fry, I'd put in some sunflower shoots, and I'd go and get some Thai basil microgreens, some some mustard and some wasabi and put it in and boom. So that's one way you can eat them warm. Or say breakfast. Or let's say bacon and eggs. Like, let's add a little bit more nutrition to that and put it underneath your eggs. Get a nice mix of microgreens, whatever you're growing, it doesn't matter, but put them under your cooked egg or your cooked tofu, whatever you do for breakfast, and let them just tenderize, cut in and eat, off you go. I mean, there's your typical other ways. You can make a wrap, you can make a sandwich, but yeah, I mean, I've got, if I'm getting fancy, I'll cook something and I'll grab the right color and I'll sit it on top. Yeah, like that sushi in the middle of the page there. I mean, that's red amaranth that I've sprinkled on top there with some sunflower shoots. So the amaranth, that's just a cucumber sushi with the red amaranth, which tastes like beetroot. And amaranth is an Aztec superfood. The Aztecs 7,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago relied on this product, on this actual plant for 70% of their diet. So they were eating it as the grain, as the microgreen, and as the full-term plant for like spinach. So, you know, you're just adding that little bit of color and beauty and nutrition to every meal, really.
Yeah, you're right. It does make it a fancy dish when you add that to it.
Yeah, it does.
I love it. So when you are sending them out, or sorry, selling your microgreens, can they last in the post? Can you send them like that, or do you just keep them fresh to markets and local?
Yeah, just local. I've had a few people ask if I can post them. I wouldn't do it. I mean, for one, I know how reckless Australia Post is with the parcels, but no, they need to be kept cool, and preferably eaten fresh. I mean, if you're going to do it at home, you want to back up the top, Kelly. We do a tray at the markets of 4 pots. You can buy a deal. It's 4 pots. It's $20. You get this tray that we made out of pallet wood. It's lined with a recycled plastic liner, and you sit the pots in there, and you can choose 4. So, and you cut them fresh. Oh, there you go. Yeah, they're on the left there. We you know, you can take them home and then cut them fresh to order. I mean, every decent city now has a microgreens guy like me. You know, I mean, we've struck a vein and gotten a little bigger, but everyone's got a local guy who's doing it consciously and really caring for their product. I mean, yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. I wouldn't send them in the post.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, we got some questions in the chat. So,
yeah.
Okay, Andrew asked, how do you know how much seeds to put in a tray, and what depth does the soil need to be?
Okay, good question. Now, okay, on the top left there, that's a tray I actually designed. I had it made in China, and I engineered it and got it sent over. So I bought over 10,000 of them, and I started selling them to other growers. But ideally, you want a tray that's thin, and you want to fill it to the top with soil or medium, and then sort of pat it down, get it as level as possible. Then you want to sprinkle seeds on there. You're not pushing them in like conventional seeding, where the packet says, you know, put it down 1/2 inch or whatnot. You're just lightly sprinkling them on the top. Now, as for density of that seed, it's going to vary between the varieties, but the quickest tip I can give you right now is to imagine you're sprinkling the seeds, but you're leaving the gap of, so say 2 seeds are next to each other, the gap in between each seed is the equivalent of their diameter. So you're not huddling them in, but they've got a little bit of room to move. So sprinkle them on, and then very lightly, very light. I'm talking the thickness of your seed. You want to dust some soil on top. Then you mist it with some water, preferably put a lid on it, like another tray, just sit it on top, because what that does is, because you got so many seeds in that tray, if they germinate without some sort of weight on top, like simulating nature, like it's been underground, that all these seeds are going to sort of spew out of your tray, because they've just got nothing, like they're germinating, but they're not rooting in, because they're fighting for space. So you want to sit a little tray on top of that, and then within 2 to 3 days, you're going to see them sprouting. Just keep checking and misting, keep them moist, not soaking wet, and then take that lid off and off you go. I mean, for the first couple of days, you'll be misting them on top. Then after that, stop and put them in a saucer or a bottom tray and water from underneath. You don't want to be wetting the top. So I'm getting a little involved now in the growing, but yeah, I hope that answers that question. It's not as if you're burying them. You're just placing them on top, bit of very shallow soil on top of the seed, and wait and see what happens.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I got a friend around the corner who showed me how to do it, and so I've had a live demo of it, and it's so much fun. It's so easy, and so now's the time to jump into that. But so they grow very quickly. So there's quite a discipline in kind of eating them while they're still young and fresh, and making sure that you're, putting them into your daily meals and things. So then how do you not waste them? And then because I was told once they've germinated and they've gone through that process, do you reuse that soil, or you kind of have to chuck that and start over?
No, you can reuse that soil. This is what we do here on this farm, is we compost that soil and we re-energize it and then add it to fresh compost. So we're using ratios of like 30% of that recomposted soil back in. So it's a closed loop system to a degree. But no, what you do is grow some, see what happens. I mean, yeah, you're gonna maybe grow not enough or too much, but then decide, okay, but what you're going to do is plant weekly. So every week, you need, it's called succession planting, where you've got a constant crop, but you're not wasting. So you're not going to overplant. You're just going to do enough for yourself or your family, and do it regularly, so it's always on supply. Because I tell you what, once you get into it and you start eating them, you're going to miss them if you don't. And I mean, there's always someone around the corner selling some that you can top up on, but yeah, it's an addictive lifestyle.
Very good. It's a great addictive lifestyle. So we just have a question come through, and it was Andrew asked it earlier, but I want to come back to it. Coming back to the flood and the situation there.
Yeah.
With the benefit of hindsight, what could you have done to or say if it happens again, right? How could you set yourselves up? Was there something that you can do to prepare?
That's a good question. Now, yeah, we rebuilt with that in mind. Okay, so the structures we put up, for example, have been put on a different angle. The trusses have been like concreted in deep. I mean, everything was concreted in before, but the old greenhouse literally faced the river and took the water on full brunt. So the new greenhouses are on an angle, and the water will sort of come at it, but not the same force. And what the advantage of the new tunnels is, they've got a plastic covering. So what I can do, if Kelly gets back up the top, I can actually show.
I'll get back up the top. It'll be a bit dizzy while
you're right. So what we can do, I can show it. Yeah, we're almost there. Okay, stop there. On the left, I can run along. There's a gutter. You can see about a third of the way up. There's a silver line running across. That's a gutter that's collecting water. Yeah, there. And I can cut. I'll just run along with a Stanley knife, cut all the plastic, let it drop. Now that's pittance to replace, but it's going to create less resistance with the force of the water. So, I'm going to lose the produce. So what? I mean, that's life. That's flooding. But the water will go through. It's not going to build up resistance is the word. I mean, it was such, that's what we've done regarding the greenhouses. With my wife's business, we've used different, not gyprock in certain areas. I mean, we're using villa board. Our house is all hardwood panels. I mean, we're not insured, so we've done it so we can replace it ourselves. And with the, there we go. I mean, if you can get what I'm saying with the tunnels, that if I just run along, it'll take me literally 5 minutes to run right up the side of it, cut it, the plastic will drop. It's all a matter of a couple of $1,000s to recover them. But God forbid we don't have to go through that again at that force.
And then, so Andrew, does that answer your question? Because that's the recovery for the farm. What about for your livelihoods and your food and because we always talk on this channel about setting up your 72-hour kits and we're skilling up with our bush survival and all this kinds of things. But when the waters are that high, there's barely anything you can do. I guess, besides having a boat handy.
Yeah, there's some things we've done. Sorry, that's stuff I forgot. We have actually bought a little boat, cheap one with just enough motor power to putt over to the neighbour's hill, and everything's mobile. So we've now got a camper trailer if we need to go bush. The cool room that I lost, I've bought a mobile cool room. So I can pull that out. All the tractors, I've arranged, all the neighbours have now talked where we can put our vehicles and tractors and all the things that I lost up high. And, everything's, we've got our go bags ready, all those things. It's totally different. I mean, we've got sealed containers of food and the 72-hour kit, of course, but we're having so many kids, we have to think bulk. So that really kicked in to be prepared after living in the shed after the flood for a week, 5 days with one meal a day. It's like, wow, okay, if you're not prepared, you're prepared to die. It was really rough.
That's really great to hear that, because it's it gives me hope that the preparations that we've done, would help us sustain us if something like that has happened again. So yeah, that's fabulous.
And always have a little seed packet in your go bags too. It's me. I've got my seeds as well. That's just the farmer in me.
That's a great idea. That's one thing I haven't packed in my 72-hour kit. So thank you for that. Any other questions? Andrew said, would it be possible perhaps to plant trees or some sort of structure to break the force? So like they do to break out the force of the strong wind. So
absolutely, Andrew. And we have the only hope I have is that they grow fast. I mean, I have nature strips planted for koalas and whatnot, but they're not quite in the right spot. I've put in, it really works actually. A lot of debris hit the house, the greenhouse, my wife's business, that just floated in. I mean, half of people's houses are on our property. It's just insane. So I have planted a lot, and I've put in a lot of lamandra and also other things to stop erosion. All I can hope is that they grow fast. That's all. They're getting a lot of love.
And then Michelle asked, the ideal growing climate for microgreens? Is there any?
Ideal is 26 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's your perfect grow temp to grow all varieties all year round. But that's not possible. I mean, unless you have a climate control system, yeah. But uh, I just work with the seasons. So, I'm not going to, broccoli, what I was raving on about before, is actually out of season now, but I have to forcibly try and grow it because it's such in high demand. But if you're healthy and you're on top of it, it's not the time to eat broccoli. I mean, it's time to eat other varieties that are in season. I mean, that's another whole topic. But yeah, 26 degrees, you can do it. Give or take 20 up to 30. You'll have zero problems. But yeah.
Wow, great questions, guys. Okay, so tell us again how we can find you. This is your Instagram page, 560farms, and you said you're on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I do it. Yeah, for the first 5 years, I was uploading once a week, and there's some good content there. A bit of me talking crap a lot of the time too, but I've uploaded a couple of videos since the flood, and I'm really intending to get back into it. So I want to really hit home the organics side of things, why I chose organics, and how you can incorporate it into your life, growing your own veggies at home, and particularly microgreens in a small space to just get the best out of it. So hang in there. But YouTube, yep, is Pepe Fassos. Instagram, I'm there all the time. If you have any questions or want to, talk to me, I can easily send you a quick video, a demonstration video, if you're having some issues or you want to get started. It's so simple for me just to hold the phone and do it with you or for you, and then you're off and running. I mean, you don't go out and pay these exorbitant course prices that you'll see online. It's not worth it. There's plenty of free information. I mean, everyone's running a business, but I can tell you now, just hit me up.
Well, and we'll do a workshop one night.
I'd love that. Yeah.
Okay, and so any issues with disease or pests?
Organically, yeah. You're going to come across fungicide, but I have the answers to that. You're looking to use bacterias or copper. Like I use a mix of a bacteria called Trichobacillus and chelated copper. So it's a very minute amount of those items, but we mix it in water, and you can add that to your compost because fungus and things is everywhere. You can't beat it. It's everywhere. And you're just activating it by having your temperature too high or your soil too wet or your seeds are old or there's something on, so it's just activated. But these products are all certified organic and just giving you that protection. Pests, yeah, look, it's natural. I mean, if you can keep them protected and grow them inside, yeah, you're going to be fine. But they generally grow so quick that you don't get any pest pressure. And healthy plants don't attract pests. So you're not going to. Yeah, you'll know if your microgreens are starting off really slow and yellow. Yeah, the bugs are going to come. That's nature. It's coming to eat it and move it on. But no, just you'll know. No, I need more compost or a higher nitrogen-based nutrient or something like that. It's pests and problems. They're everywhere, but you can easily get around it.
Well, I think we've been well nourished tonight with this learning. I'm really excited by it and really inspired to get it going. And like with anything, when we start out, we're going to make mistakes, and that's quite okay. It's more the fact that we get started, isn't it? It's the important.
Absolutely, that's the biggest thing. Just do it. Just do it. You're going to make mistakes, but that's how we learn. I'm still making mistakes. It's inevitable.
Beautiful.
Something just clicks and you're on your way.
Well, I will put in the links to where you can get the seeds, and we will share that out. Thank you so much, Pepe, for joining us tonight and for sharing with us your heart-wrenching story. And I love the resilience of you and your family, and all of those around you in your community, just to keep going. And you're such an inspiration to all of us. You've really demonstrated that if you can do it, it can be done. That we can all stick together as a community and get through any obstacles. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It was absolutely fabulous to hear that. And the Australian spirit is strong, isn't it?
Thank you, Kelly. Absolutely honoured to be on the show, and thank you for the invite. And anything I can help anyone with, please don't hesitate to ask.
Beautiful. All right, well, we'll close it up there, and we look forward to seeing you next week, next Tuesday, for our last one for the year. So until then, Merry Christmas, everyone, and we'll see you all then.
Kelly recommends these nutritious fast foods for your grab-and-go bag. This vegan, non-GMO, gluten and dairy-free 72-hour pack provides you with loads of energy to keep you full for longer. Grab your Summit Special at myselfreliance.com.au and pick up a large protein shake free with your kit.